Let them believe you're average. Let them think you're just another name they'll forget. Let them assume you don't have it in you. Because underestimation is the most dangerous advantage a man can have. While they're watching for noise, you're moving in silence. While they're chasing attention, you're building leverage. And while they're laughing, you're becoming something they're not prepared to face. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You don't need an audience. Because the most dangerous men are never the loudest ones in the room. They're the ones no one saw coming. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes the world doesn't care. It doesn't care how hard you try. It doesn't care what you promise. It doesn't care how much potential you claim to have. And that moment divides men into two categories: those who fold and those who go quiet. Because silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's the decision to stop explaining and start executing. To disappear from the noise and build a version of yourself that doesn't need permission to dominate. This video isn't about motivation. It's about discipline, isolation, and the power of becoming dangerous without announcing a single move. Welcome to NexusMind. Build in silence. Let the results speak. Underestimation is an advantage. Most people think being underestimated is an insult. They feel ignored, dismissed, overlooked. And because of that, they rush to prove themselves. They speak louder, post more, explain their vision to people who never asked. That reaction alone is why they lose. Because when people underestimate you, they relax. They stop paying attention. They stop preparing. They stop expecting anything dangerous from you. And that is not disrespect. That is space. Space to fail quietly. Space to experiment without judgment. Space to build strength without interference. The world only watches what it believes is a threat. When it decides you're harmless, it looks away. That moment, when attention disappears, is where disciplined men are made. Most men cannot survive invisibility. They crave validation the way weak structures crave support. Without praise, they collapse. But the man who understands underestimation sees it clearly. If no one expects anything from you, you are free. Free to train without applause. Free to struggle without embarrassment. Free to sharpen without pressure. Underestimation removes the spotlight. And without the spotlight, there is no performance, only work. This is why dangerous men are rarely obvious early. They don't announce themselves. They don't advertise potential. They let others assume they're average, because average men are left alone. And being left alone is how foundations are built. Think about it carefully. When people think you're capable, they interfere. They question you. They doubt you publicly. They compare you. But when they underestimate you, they dismiss you. And dismissal is protection. It keeps expectations low. It keeps criticism distant. It keeps pressure minimal. You are no longer trying to live up to a version of yourself that others created. You are building the version you require. This is where most people make a fatal mistake. They try to correct the narrative too early. They rush to show results before they're ready. They reveal plans before they're stable. They seek recognition before discipline is formed. That exposes weakness. The disciplined man does the opposite. He lets people misunderstand him. He lets them assume he's not serious. He lets them think he lacks ambition. Because misunderstanding is camouflage, and camouflage allows growth without resistance. There is a reason predators don't announce themselves. The loudest animal is rarely the most dangerous one. Danger moves quietly. It observes. It waits. Underestimation creates that same environment. No one is tracking your progress. No one is measuring your speed. No one is preparing for your arrival. And that gives you time. Time to build skills without comparison. Time to strengthen habits without interruption. Time to harden discipline without distraction. Most men want respect before they've earned it. That desire weakens them. Respect given early creates complacency. Respect earned late creates stability. When people underestimate you, they remove pressure. And pressure removed at the wrong time destroys growth. You don't need pressure at the beginning. You need consistency. You don't need attention while you're forming structure. You need repetition. Underestimation gives you both. And here's the truth most people never accept. You don't rise because people believed in you. You rise because you worked when they didn't. Belief from others is irrelevant. Discipline is not. So let them think you're behind. Let them assume you're slower than them. Let them compare themselves upward while ignoring you. Comparison creates noise. Noise destroys focus. Being underestimated keeps your path clean. There is also a psychological edge here that most men miss. When people underestimate you, they project limits onto you. They think they understand you. That false certainty makes them careless. They don't expect resistance. They don't expect precision. They don't expect growth. And when results finally surface, they are shocked. Not because you changed suddenly, but because they weren't watching the work. That shock is not accidental. It is engineered. It comes from months, sometimes years, of quiet consistency. Underestimation allows you to grow without identity pressure. You're not the talented one. You're not the promising one. You're not the next big thing. You're just working, and work done without identity is pure. No ego, no performance, no distraction, only execution. This is why the most stable men often look unremarkable early. They didn't rush development. They didn't borrow confidence. They didn't perform growth. They earned it. And when they finally step forward, they don't need to speak, because their presence explains everything. So don't correct people when they underestimate you. Don't rush to prove them wrong. Let them believe what they want. You're not hiding. You're preparing. And preparation done in silence always outlasts performance done for attention. Underestimation isn't an obstacle. It's the advantage that separates builders from talkers. And once you understand that, you stop trying to be seen. You start trying to be ready. Silence is strategy, not weakness. Most people misunderstand silence. They think silence means fear. They think it means uncertainty. They think it means you don't have confidence. That misunderstanding is their advantage until it becomes yours. Because silence is not the absence of power. It is the containment of it. Weak men speak to be seen. Strong men move to be felt. Silence is what happens when you stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening in the first place. Most men talk too much because they want reassurance. They want feedback. They want validation that they're on the right path. But needing reassurance is a liability. It ties your momentum to other people's reactions. It makes your progress dependent on approval, and it exposes your direction before it's protected. Silence removes that risk. When you go quiet, something important happens. Your energy stops leaking. No more arguing your vision. No more defending your choices. No more explaining why you're different, focused, or unavailable. You stop broadcasting intention and start accumulating leverage. Silence creates ambiguity, and ambiguity makes people cautious. When people don't know what you're doing, they can't predict you. When they can't predict you, they can't interfere. This is why silence feels uncomfortable to most men. It removes the social dopamine, the nods, the approval, the sense of being seen. And without that noise, all that's left is the work. That's where discipline is tested. Silence forces you to face yourself. No audience, no praise, no reassurance, just repetition. That's why most people break when they go quiet. They realize they were never motivated by purpose, only by attention. But if you can stay silent and still move forward, you build something rare, internal momentum. Momentum that doesn't need witnesses. Momentum that doesn't slow down without applause. Momentum that doesn't collapse when no one claps. Silence also protects you from premature identity. The moment you tell people what you're building, they start defining you. They compare, they judge, they attach expectations. That pressure distorts development. Silence keeps your identity fluid while your skill solidifies. You are allowed to evolve privately. You are allowed to change direction without explanation. You are allowed to grow without announcing milestones. Silence gives you that freedom. There is also a psychological edge to this. People respect what they cannot access easily. The more you talk, the more familiar you become. The more familiar you become, the less weight your presence carries. Silence creates distance. Distance creates gravity. This is why the most dangerous men often say the least, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand timing. Words spoken too early weaken impact. Moves revealed too soon invite resistance. Silence delays exposure until strength is undeniable. And when strength finally appears, it doesn't need explanation. It is self-evident. Silence also removes you from unnecessary battles. Arguments drain energy. Debates dilute focus. Defensiveness exposes insecurity. Silence bypasses all of that. You stop reacting, you stop correcting, you stop engaging with noise, and when you don't react, provocation dies. People who thrive on reaction lose interest when they don't get access. Silence starves manipulation. That's why silence unsettles people. They don't know where they stand with you. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're planning. And that uncertainty shifts the power dynamic. You are no longer available for control. Silence is not withdrawal. It is positioning. It is choosing when and if you reveal information. It is discipline over impulse. Every time you choose silence instead of explanation, you strengthen restraint. And restraint is the backbone of power. Most men reveal themselves emotionally. They vent, they complain, they narrate their struggle. That narration makes struggle permanent. Silence allows struggle to pass without becoming identity. You suffer, you adapt, you move forward, quietly. And that quiet builds something internal that noise never could. Confidence that does not require witnesses, strength that does not need validation, focus that does not fracture. This is why silence is dangerous, because when you stop talking, people assume you stop trying. They don't see the early mornings, the repetition, the discipline. They assume stagnation, and that assumption is fatal, because while they assume, you prepare. Silence buys you time. Time buys you skill. Skill buys you dominance. And dominance does not announce itself. It arrives fully formed. So don't explain your absence. Don't narrate your grind. Don't announce your next move. Let silence do the work. Because when the results arrive, no one will ask why you were quiet. They'll ask how they didn't see you coming. And by then, it's already too late. Detach from validation. Most men don't realize how controlled they are. Not by force, not by fear, by approval, a look, a compliment, a reaction. They adjust their behavior based on how they're received. That dependence is invisible, but it dictates everything. Validation becomes the fuel, and without it, momentum collapses. This is why most people slow down when no one is watching. They were never committed to the work. They were committed to being seen doing the work. Detachment from validation is the moment power returns. Because the moment you stop needing approval, you stop negotiating with other people's expectations. You move based on principle, not response. Validation creates fragility. Praise makes you dependent. Criticism destabilizes you. Either way, your emotional state is outsourced, and anything outsourced can be taken away. The disciplined man does not reject validation because he's bitter. He rejects it because he understands its cost. Validation trains you to perform, not to build. Performance requires audience feedback. Building requires solitude. When you chase validation, you optimize for appearance. When you detach from it, you optimize for substance. Most men never cross this line. They want to be recognized before they're reliable. They want confidence before competence. They want affirmation before execution. That order destroys men. Competence creates confidence. Execution earns recognition. Anything reversed collapses under pressure. Detachment from validation forces honesty. You stop asking, "Do they like this?" and start asking, "Does this actually work?" You stop shaping yourself for acceptance and start shaping yourself for capability. That shift is uncomfortable because validation is addictive. It gives quick emotional rewards. It fills insecurity temporarily. But like any addiction, it weakens long-term resilience. A man trained on validation cannot survive silence. He needs reaction to feel real. Detachment breaks that dependency. You learn to measure yourself internally. Did you execute today? Did you maintain discipline? Did you move forward even when no one noticed? Those questions replace external applause. And when that happens, your stability increases. Criticism no longer shakes you. Praise no longer inflates you. You become harder to manipulate. Because manipulation requires leverage, and validation is leverage. People praise you to guide you. They withhold approval to correct you. They criticize to destabilize you. When you detach, those tools stop working. You can be criticized without collapsing, ignored without shrinking, misunderstood without explaining. That emotional independence is dangerous. It makes you unpredictable. It also makes you immune to trends. Most men chase what's popular because popularity validates them. They move where attention is loud. The detached man moves where progress is possible. He doesn't need to be early or late. He needs to be effective. This is why detachment creates long-term dominance. You stop competing socially. You start competing structurally, against your own limits, against inefficiency, against weakness. And that battle produces something validation never can: skill. Skill compounds silently, and silent compounding always outpaces visible performance. Detachment also cleans your intent. You stop asking, "How will this look?" and start asking, "What will this become?" That difference changes everything. You take fewer shortcuts. You rush less. You stay consistent longer, because no one is watching, and consistency without witnesses is rare. This is why most men quit before mastery. They don't get rewarded emotionally early enough. The detached man keeps going anyway, not because it feels good, but because it aligns with his standard. Detachment is not indifference. You still care, but you care about outcome, not applause. Process, not praise. Depth, not display. And once that shift locks in, you stop reacting to people altogether. Their approval doesn't accelerate you. Their doubt doesn't slow you. You are no longer pulled by social gravity. You move on your own axis. That's when real confidence appears. Not loud confidence, not expressive confidence, quiet certainty, the kind that doesn't seek validation and therefore cannot be shaken by its absence. And when a man reaches that state, people feel it. Not because he announces it, but because nothing they do seems to move him anymore. Become unpredictable. Predictability is comfort, and comfort is what makes people easy to control. Most men live on patterns others can read. They react the same way. They speak the same way. They move on schedules everyone knows. And because of that, they are easy to anticipate, easy to manipulate, easy to block. Unpredictability is not chaos. It is controlled ambiguity. It is choosing not to reveal your direction until movement is already irreversible. The moment people think they understand you, they stop taking you seriously. They assume limits. They anticipate behavior. They prepare counters. That assumption is dangerous, but only for them. Because when someone believes they know your next move, they stop guarding against surprise. Unpredictability removes that certainty. It forces hesitation. When people hesitate, they lose initiative. And initiative is where power lives. Most men announce their plans because they want encouragement. They want reassurance before risk. But announcing direction invites interference. Opinions dilute clarity. Doubt infects momentum. Comparison creates pressure. The disciplined man avoids all three. He moves quietly until progress speaks for him. Unpredictability protects your process. When people don't know what you're building, they can't sabotage it. When they don't know your timing, they can't block it. When they don't know your capacity, they underestimate your impact. This is why silence and unpredictability are linked. Silence hides intent. Unpredictability hides trajectory. Together, they create strategic advantage. Unpredictability also forces internal discipline. You stop relying on routine reactions. You pause. You assess. You choose responses deliberately. That alone separates you from impulsive men. Impulsive men are readable. Deliberate men are not. This applies emotionally as well. If you always react with anger, people know how to provoke you. If you always explain yourself, people know how to bait you. If you always defend, people know where you're insecure. Unpredictability breaks those patterns. You respond differently, sometimes with silence, sometimes with action, sometimes not at all. That inconsistency confuses manipulators, and confusion removes control. Unpredictability also strengthens presence. When your reactions aren't guaranteed, people become cautious around you. They listen more closely. They speak more carefully. Not because you demand respect, but because unpredictability demands attention. This is not about playing games. It's about refusing to be transparent in hostile environments. You don't owe clarity to people who misuse information. You don't owe predictability to those who benefit from it. The disciplined man adapts. He studies the environment. He reads the room. He adjusts without explanation. Unpredictability also protects growth phases. Early development is fragile. Confidence isn't solid yet. Skill is still forming. Momentum is inconsistent. Visibility at this stage creates pressure that collapses growth. Unpredictability keeps development hidden until stability is achieved. Then exposure becomes safe. And when exposure finally happens, it feels sudden to everyone else. They say things like, "He came out of nowhere. It happened so fast." But it didn't. They just weren't watching, because you gave them no pattern to follow. Unpredictability also disrupts competition. When people don't know your pace, they can't match it. When they don't know your capacity, they misjudge the threat. And misjudged threats always arrive unprepared. This is why dangerous men feel calm. They're not rushed. They're not reactive. They know timing is on their side, because no one sees them coming. So don't reveal everything. Don't broadcast momentum. Don't narrate progress. Move quietly. Shift patterns. Change rhythm. Let people struggle to understand you. Confusion is not a weakness. It is protection. And when results finally appear, they won't connect the dots in time. Because unpredictability doesn't seek dominance. It creates it. Control your emotions or be controlled by them. Every man likes to believe he's in control, but most men are driven, quietly, by emotion. Anger decides their words, fear decides their timing, ego decides their reactions, and because of that, they are easy to move. Emotional control is not suppression, it is command. It is the difference between feeling something and being ruled by it. Most people lose power the moment they react. They explain themselves in anger. They respond while triggered. They make decisions while unstable. That reaction hands control to whoever provoked it. The moment someone can control your emotions, they can control your behavior. And behavior determines outcome. This is why emotional discipline is the foundation of strength. Not because emotions are bad, but because unmanaged emotions are weapons others use against you. Think carefully. People don't provoke you by accident. They test boundaries. They look for reactions. Once they find the button, they press it repeatedly. Anger becomes predictable. Defensiveness becomes leverage. Sensitivity becomes weakness. The disciplined man closes that access point. He still feels anger. He still feels pressure, but he does not act from it. He pauses, and that pause changes everything. In that pause, emotion loses authority. Logic regains position. Choice returns. This is what separates men who escalate problems from men who end them. Most conflicts don't grow because of the issue. They grow because of reaction. Words spoken in anger create consequences that last longer than the emotion itself. A moment of restraint can save months of damage. Emotional control is not passive. It is active restraint. It is choosing not to say the first thing that comes to mind, not to act on the first impulse, not to defend pride at the cost of progress. The undisciplined man vents. The disciplined man contains. Containment builds pressure internally, and pressure, when controlled, becomes force. This is why calm men are unsettling. You can't read them easily. You can't provoke them reliably. You can't rush them into mistakes. They don't give you emotional access. And without access, manipulation fails. Emotional control also protects clarity. Strong emotion narrows perception. It collapses perspective. Fear makes everything urgent. Anger makes everything personal. Calm restores scale. When you're calm, you see the long game. You see consequence. You see opportunity instead of threat. This is why emotional control is strategic. It allows you to respond instead of react. Reaction is immediate and unconscious. Response is deliberate and chosen. Only one leads to dominance. Most men are trained to express emotion, not govern it. They confuse expression with honesty. They confuse venting with processing. But venting reinforces instability. Every time you verbalize uncontrolled emotion, you give it form. You make it stronger. The disciplined man processes emotion internally. He studies it. He identifies its source. He extracts information without letting it dictate action. That internal work builds mastery. And mastery is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition. It shows up as composure under pressure. This is why emotional control terrifies unstable people. They can't pull you into chaos. They can't feed off reaction. They can't destabilize your direction. Your calm exposes their lack of it. And exposure is uncomfortable. Control your emotions, and people stop trying to control you. You don't need to win arguments. You don't need to defend your ego. You don't need to react to disrespect. Your restraint communicates more power than aggression ever could. Because aggression signals loss of control, restraint signals dominance. And dominance does not shout. It waits. It watches. It acts when timing is correct. This is the emotional discipline most men never develop. And that is why most men are easy to provoke. But once you master this, once emotion no longer commands you, you move through the world differently, calmer, sharper, unrushed, and nothing is more dangerous than a man who cannot be shaken. Move in silence. Let results speak. There is a reason silence has always been associated with power, not because silence is empty, but because it is disciplined. Weak men announce, strong men prepare. Most people talk too early. They broadcast plans before they're built. They seek validation before results exist. And in doing so, they expose themselves. Silence is not absence. It is containment. It is the decision to hold your intentions close until they are irreversible. Every time you speak about a plan prematurely, you dilute its energy. You invite opinions. You invite doubt. You invite interference. And interference slows momentum. The disciplined man understands this instinctively. He does not move quietly out of fear. He moves quietly out of strategy. Because attention is a tax. The more attention you attract, the more energy you lose managing perception instead of executing reality. Silence protects focus. When no one knows what you're building, no one can sabotage it. No one can rush it. No one can distort it. You are free to move at your own pace. Most men mistake silence for weakness because they confuse noise with confidence. But confidence does not need witnesses. The man who is certain does not explain himself. He works. Silence also prevents emotional leakage. Talking about goals creates a false sense of progress. Your brain receives reward without effort. You feel accomplished before you've earned anything. That kills drive. Silence keeps hunger intact. It keeps pressure internal. And pressure, when directed, becomes power. This is why killers of goals, of standards, of limits are built in the dark. No applause, no encouragement, no validation, just repetition, just discipline, just work. Silence also reveals who you are. When no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one knows what you're doing, that's when character shows up. Most people collapse without attention They need feedback to continue. They need recognition to persist. The disciplined man does not. He understands that the work is the reward. He trains when no one sees. He studies when no one cares. He builds when no one expects anything from him. And that is why, when results arrive, they look sudden. But nothing about them was sudden. They were delayed visibility. Silence also changes how people perceive you. When you stop explaining, people start observing. When you stop announcing, people start wondering. And when results finally surface, they hit harder, because they were not predicted. Power is magnified by contrast. Noise creates expectations. Silence creates shock. This is why the strongest presence in a room is often the quietest one. They don't rush to speak. They don't fight for attention. They don't perform. They let gravity do the work. Silence also removes the need to defend yourself. When you don't explain, there's nothing to argue against. When you don't announce, there's nothing to criticize. You move beyond reaction, and reaction is where most people lose control. The disciplined man does not react to commentary. He reacts only to reality. Results are immune to opinion. They don't argue. They don't negotiate. They don't justify themselves. They exist. And existence is the most ruthless proof. Silence forces patience. You learn to endure uncertainty without reassurance. You learn to progress without praise. You learn to trust yourself without external confirmation. That is psychological strength. That is internal authority. And internal authority cannot be taken. This chapter is not about disappearing from the world. It is about disappearing from noise. It is about choosing execution over expression. You don't owe anyone updates. You don't owe anyone explanations. You don't owe anyone visibility into your process. Your process is sacred. Protect it. Work quietly. Build relentlessly. And let the world hear about you only when it's too late to doubt. Detach from validation or be ruled by it. Most men don't realize how controlled they are, not by force, not by threat, but by approval. A look, a compliment, a reaction, a number. Validation becomes the leash, and once you need it, you are no longer free. The need for validation is subtle. It doesn't feel like weakness. It feels like motivation, encouragement, connection. But beneath it is dependence. When your confidence rises and falls based on how others respond to you, your identity is no longer yours. It belongs to the room. This is how people lose direction. They adjust their behavior to be liked. They soften truth to avoid friction. They delay action, waiting for reassurance. And waiting kills momentum. The disciplined man cuts this dependency early, not because he doesn't value people, but because he refuses to outsource worth. Validation is unstable currency. It fluctuates with mood, trends, convenience. What is praised today is ignored tomorrow. What is admired in private is criticized in public. If your sense of self depends on that, you will always be chasing equilibrium. And chasing makes you predictable. Predictable men are easy to manipulate. They can be guided with praise. They can be punished with silence. They can be redirected with opinion. The detached man cannot, because his approval comes from alignment, not applause. He measures himself internally. Did I act according to my standards? Did I move forward today? Did I maintain discipline under pressure? If the answer is yes, external reaction becomes irrelevant. This detachment creates stability. You stop performing, you stop proving, you stop explaining, you act. And action grounded in self-approval carries weight. People feel it, not because you demand respect, but because you no longer need it. This unsettles insecure people. They are used to controlling others through feedback loops. Praise to pull closer, criticism to push away. When those tools stop working, their leverage disappears. This is why detachment feels threatening. A man who doesn't need validation cannot be easily moved. He cannot be baited into arguments. He cannot be guilted into compliance. He cannot be shamed into silence. He listens, he considers, he decides. That decision comes from within. Detachment also restores clarity. When you stop seeking approval, your thinking sharpens. You choose goals because they matter to you, not because they look impressive. You speak when it's necessary, not when it's rewarded. You move forward even when no one notices. That is where real progress happens. Most breakthroughs occur in obscurity. No audience, no encouragement, no reassurance, only consistency. The man who can endure that space becomes dangerous, because he no longer needs momentum to be visible to feel real. He generates it internally. This chapter is not about arrogance, it is about independence. You can respect others without requiring their endorsement. You can listen without obeying. You can receive feedback without absorbing identity from it. Detachment is not coldness, it is self-possession. When validation no longer drives you, fear loses its grip. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of misunderstanding. Those fears exist only when approval matters. Once it doesn't, you move freely, and freedom creates presence. People sense when someone is not performing. They sense when someone is grounded. They sense when someone cannot be swayed. That presence commands space without effort. This is why detached men are respected even when they are quiet. They don't need to convince. They don't need to impress. They operate from alignment. And alignment is authority. When you stop seeking validation, you don't become invisible. You become solid, unmovable, unrushed, uncontrolled. Final closing arc. The point of no return. At some point, something shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. You stop explaining yourself. You stop reacting to noise. You stop needing the world to understand you. And that's when real strength begins. Because strength was never about being seen. It was about being solid. Most people spend their lives performing, reacting, chasing approval, trying to be heard. You chose something harder. Discipline, silence, control. You learned that power doesn't announce itself. It builds, day by day, rep by rep, decision by decision, until it becomes undeniable. You don't need to prove anything now. The moment you stopped reacting, others lost access. The moment you stopped explaining, your presence gained weight. The moment you stopped seeking validation, your direction became clear. This is the point of no return. From here on, you move differently, calmer, sharper, more deliberate. Not because life got easier, but because you got steadier. You won't win every battle. You won't avoid every loss, but you will not collapse. And that alone puts you ahead of most. If this resonated, don't respond with words. Respond with standards. Carry this discipline into your actions. Carry this silence into your work. Carry this control into your life. That is how this mindset lives on. This is NexusMind, where calm becomes power, where discipline becomes freedom, where strength is built quietly. Stay unshakable.